You're tuned in to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, where we break down the biggest stories shaking up the auto world. In a dramatic move, German giants BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi are backing out of the US market, all thanks to Trump's steep import tariffs. This isn't just about cars, it's about lost jobs, disrupted supply chains, and a seismic shift in global automotive alliances. What sparked this exit? Who's feeling the heat? And what does it mean for American car buyers and manufacturers? Let's dive into the 5 key developments driving this high-stakes standoff. Tariff turbulence, the spark that set it off. It all started with a tweet. Without warning or negotiation, President Trump imposed a 25% tariff on imported vehicles and parts, declaring, "If you don't produce here, you can't sell here." For BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi, this was a financial landmine. BMW's Spartanburg plant and Mercedes-Benz's Tuscaloosa facility, both major SUV hubs, suddenly faced soaring costs on imported components like engines and ECUs. Audi, 100% reliant on imports, was hit hardest, staring down tariffs as high as 200%. The math collapsed overnight. Raising prices risked losing buyers. Absorbing costs meant massive losses. Worse, essential parts from Germany, Slovakia, and Mexico couldn't be easily sourced locally. Global supply chains, years in the making, started to snap. Diplomacy wasn't fast enough. Mercedes paused shipments. Audi stopped deliveries. BMW shelved expansion. These weren't careful recalibrations. They were full-blown escape maneuvers. This was more than policy. It was a direct hit to decades of trust, planning, and investment. And it marked the first turn in a sharp downhill ride for America's auto future. But that blow to German automakers quickly became an economic aftershock felt deep in American communities. Ripple effect, how the exit hit home. The German pullout didn't just impact factories. It sent economic shockwaves across the US. BMW's Spartanburg plant alone supported 43,000 jobs and funneled $26 billion into the economy. Mercedes-Benz's Tuscaloosa facility sustained thousands more. Even Audi, with no local production, fueled billions through its retail and logistics networks. When the retreat began, dealerships were thrown into chaos. Cars became overpriced overnight. Parts supplies became uncertain. Warranties and service? Question marks. Consumers were confused. Dealers were panicked. Behind the scenes, over 2,500 US suppliers, many built around these automakers, faced order cancellations. From parts shops in Ohio to tech firms in California, business dried up. Some shuttered entirely. Others scrambled to relocate or diversify. Then came the bigger blow: US auto exports, especially models like the BMW X5 and X6 built in South Carolina, are projected to fall by $15 billion. The total industry hit? An estimated $45 billion. In trying to punish imports, the policy ended up dismantling American jobs, innovation networks, and export prestige. The lesson? In today's auto world, isolation doesn't spark strength, it stifles it. Quick pit stop. If you're finding these insights valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to Piston Pundit. We've got plenty more under the hood. Don't miss what's coming next. Speaking of shifts, let's take a closer look at where Germany's finest are headed next. China's power play, where German innovation now calls home. While America pulled the emergency brake, Germany's finest found a new road, straight to China. The timing couldn't have been smoother for Beijing. Mercedes quickly announced that its next-gen EV platform would launch in China, not the US. BMW began setting up a mega factory in Chengdu. Audi inked deals with Chinese tech giants and planted new R&D labs in Shanghai and Shenzhen. China, now hungry for luxury EVs and stability, offered scale, incentives, and policy consistency. While Trump offered trade turbulence, China offered a showroom on every street corner. But this wasn't just about building cars. Design centers relocated. Innovation hubs reappeared overseas. Even proprietary tech development, like autonomous software and digital interfaces, shifted out of the US. The result? The next-gen German vehicles may not just be made in China, they may be born there, concept to completion. That's not just a missed opportunity for America. It's a loss of global influence, innovation leadership, and manufacturing prestige. For China, it's a turbocharged leap forward in their race to dominate the luxury EV segment. But as Germany found refuge in China, US automakers faced a different challenge entirely. Fallout at home. Detroit's unexpected dilemma. At first glance, the German exit looked like a golden opportunity for Ford and GM. But instead of a clear win, US automakers found themselves tangled in the same mess. The tariffs that drove BMW, Mercedes, and Audi away didn't spare domestic players. Key components, like ECUs, batteries, and electronic modules, are heavily imported. Ford estimated a $1.5 billion hit from tariff-related costs, while GM, Stellantis, and Volkswagen withdrew their forecasts, citing policy instability. What's worse, the absence of German competition removes a crucial source of innovation pressure. Mercedes' infotainment systems, Audi's AWD tech, and BMW's hybrid platforms had forced American brands to stay sharp. Without that rivalry, the risk of stagnation looms large. Then there's the premium gap. Cadillac and Lincoln have made moves, but replacing the prestige of German badges isn't an overnight job. It's a generational challenge. Add layoffs in supplier networks, pricier vehicles, and stalled launches, and the outlook dims. Instead of a windfall, Detroit's grappling with disruption. The push to protect American jobs may have unwittingly disrupted the very foundation they stand on. And as Detroit recalculates, the ripple effects are already reshaping the global trade map. Trade wars and gear shifts, the global fallout. What started as an isolated policy decision now has the torque to shake the globe. The European Union didn't take Trump's tariffs lightly. Germany, whose economy is deeply tied to automotive exports, saw it as a direct strike. With over 3 million cars shipped abroad last year, many to the US, this wasn't a ripple, it was a shockwave. Retaliatory tariffs are already being drafted, while other nations like the UK are crafting selective deals with Washington to limit the damage. The result? A trade landscape that looks more like a pothole-riddled backroad than a streamlined highway. In this climate, manufacturers are adapting fast. The old model, build where it's cheap, is being replaced by a new one, build where it's stable. Regional production hubs are gaining traction, but efficiency and price competitiveness may pay the price. US ports and suppliers are already seeing the impact. Many supply chains are shifting toward Asia, especially China, where German automakers are now planting their flags. And while that might bring some reshoring to the US, it won't match the global scale that's slipping away. In the world of cars, predictability drives progress. But in a global economy where policy can shift with a tweet, the industry's foundation is beginning to show cracks. And those cracks won't patch themselves. Which brings us to our final verdict. Where does the road lead from here? Final lap. Can the US auto sector regain traction? The departure of Germany's finest, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, is more than just lost logos on American roads. It's a symbol of fractured policy, lost prestige, and a rapidly changing global power dynamic. For US automakers, the challenge now is clear. Invest in tech, stabilize supply chains, and push innovation. For policymakers, it's time to replace tough talk with strategic action. The world isn't waiting. So, here's what we want to know from you, our fellow car enthusiasts. Do you think the tariffs helped or hurt the US auto industry overall? Can domestic brands truly fill the luxury gap left by German automakers? Will China become the new home of global automotive innovation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your take. And before you shift into your next video, make sure to subscribe to Piston Pundit, your ultimate pit stop for vehicle updates, deep dives, and auto insights that keep your engines revving. Hit that bell so you never miss a shift in the industry. Thanks for watching and see you next time. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.